Hey everybody, let's do a quick reminder on factoring. Whenever you're factoring, there's some specific steps that we want to take. The first step is to factor out a GCF if that's possible. That could be a number that all three terms are divisible by, or that could be a negative if your A is negative. The next step is to label your terms A, B, and C. As a reminder, standard form is written in the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where you have to be careful. Sometimes they try to trick you and they'll write them out of order. So when you're labeling your a, b, and c, your a is the one that has the exponent of 2. Your b has an exponent of technically 1. And your c has an exponent of 0. There's no exponent up there. You could also look at the number of x's. A has x squared, B has only 1x, C does not have any x's. Again, sometimes they will try to trick you and write them out of order. You have to make sure you are labeling them correctly. Our next step is to do our CAB, where you are determining what you can do to multiply to get CA, but then add to get B. Finally, you're writing your answer as factors, where if you did factor anything out in step 1, you are writing it in front of your parentheses. Again, if you factor out anything in step 1, it must be written out in front of your parentheses, even if that's a negative. So let's do some practice. My first problem, I have 6x cubed minus 12x squared minus 48x. I notice that all of these numbers are divisible by 6, and they all have at least one x. So I can factor out 6x. Remember, when you're factoring out, you're doing division. So 6x cubed divided by 6x leaves us with x squared. Next, I have negative 12x squared that I'm dividing by 6x. That would be negative 2x. And then finally, negative 48x divided by 6x, negative 8. Now that I have factored out 6x, I'm going to label my ABC and set up my CAB. C times A is negative 8x squared, B is negative 2x. Now I'm determining what two numbers would multiply to give me negative 8x squared, but then add to be negative 2x, to which I would use negative 4x times 2x, because negative 4x plus 2x is equal to negative 2x. Now I can set up my box. As a reminder, A always goes in the top left, C always goes in the bottom right. And then my two numbers that I came up with fill in the rest of the spots. I know x times x is x squared. Now to get here, I need to multiply by 2. To get here, I need to multiply by negative 4, and then negative 4 times 2 does in fact equal negative 8. You cannot forget, if you factor something out, to write it in the front. Then you write your two factors, and you're done. Let's look at our next example. I have x squared plus 3x minus 28. This time there is nothing that I can factor out. So I'm going to start by labeling my ABC, setting up my CAB. C times A is negative 28x squared. B is 3x. So I need something that multiplies to be negative 28 but adds to be positive 3. I know that 7 times 4 is 28, so I'm going to use a positive 7x and a negative 4x, because 7 minus 4 is 3. To which then now I'm going to set up my box. Once again, A goes in the top left, C goes in the bottom right. And then what I came up with here fills in the rest. I know x times x is x squared. I know to get here, I need to multiply by negative 4. To get here, I need to multiply by 7. And in fact, 7 times negative 4 is negative 28. I didn't factor out anything in front, so my answers are simply x minus 4, x plus 7. It doesn't matter which order these are written in. It could also be written as x plus 7, x minus 4. That would be the same. All right, I have one more example. This time I have negative 6a squared minus 25a minus 25. While 6 and 25 do not have a common factor, I do notice that my a is negative. Oh, come back. I do notice that my a is negative, and therefore I'm going to factor out a negative. And that leaves me with 6a squared plus 25a plus 25. Essentially, I just changed the sign of everything. And then I can't forget to put my negative back out in front of my answer at the end. Labeling my ABC and setting up my CAB. I have 25 times 6a squared is 150 a squared. And then my b is 25a, to which I notice that 10a times 15a is 150, and it also adds to be 25. So I'm going to set up my box. Again, a goes in the top left, c goes in the bottom right. Fill in the rest with what I got from my CAB. Now, in order to get 6a squared, I either have to use 6 and 1 or 2 and 3. Well, I know 6 and 1 is not going to work because neither of these are divisible by 6. 2 and 3 is going to work. 10 is even, so I can do 2a here. 15a is divisible by 3, so I can do my 3a there. Now, to get the 15a, 3a times 5. To get my 10a, 2a times 5. And what do you know? 5 times 5 is 25. So then now I have my negative out front, and then I have 2a plus 5 and 3a plus 5. And that's it.